Well, we'd like to welcome you to our session on good advice with home learning, and Chloe and I are pleased to be able to give our advice and opinions on what is a hot topic at the moment for many families. And Chloe, do you want to just say a little something about your experience the last few days?
Yeah, from the teacher point of view, it's exhausting, as it is for parents being at home, really. But we're all just trying to work together to get the best experience for everybody, really.
That's right. And Chloe speaks from being a senior teacher from a primary perspective, and I wear that hat from a secondary. So we're pleased to be able to, whether you're watching this live or whether you are watching the recording of it, okay, we hope that we can just give some guidance and some reassurance, really, okay, about what might be ahead of us for, we hope it's weeks rather than months, but here we go. Let's send in true government presentation style. I ask you, Mike, for next slide, please. So we thought we'd give some Bible verses first of all, and this slide is Bible verses that we wouldn't actually recommend. So to do something, please, to do everything without complaining or arguing is something that parents might wish, but we've got to be a little bit more understanding about that, and study to show thyself approved unto God. Okay, again, it appeared a little bit to King James, okay, for the occasion there, for home learning. That looks a really ancient Bible that a good old Bible preacher might have. So that our next slide, Mike, really gives us the slides that we'd really, the verses that we would really like to encourage people. So next slide, please. Okay, and here we go. So we're really suggesting to people that it's really about calmness, okay, and a calm but engaged attitude by the parents at home will be really what's needed, and with great wisdom and teaching of kindness. This is the time that we can see as an opportunity to teach the kind of attitudes to learning, as well as understanding that learning is not just about academic subjects, and here's an opportunity that we can take, okay, going forward here. So for those of us, next slide, Mike, please, that were thinking of staying with us, we do have a fellowship alert to say that in 30 minutes we will be going into our breakout rooms. So if you do want to hide the camera and get your best house coat on or tracksuit, then now is the time. First 30 minutes, we're going to be offering some ideas and advice. In the breakout, then we'll be sharing, encourage you to share a few ideas and raising some questions. And in part two, we'll just look at a brief resource guide. And well, in fact, it's a brief slide, but it's an extensive guide and a chance for some questions at the end. And if you do want to get copies of the PowerPoint here, then they're the email addresses of Chloe and myself, and we'll be pleased on request to pass this PowerPoint to you. Okay then, so over to you, Chloe, for the next few slides about some overall themes and messages to take forward.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, so main messages really is just be realistic. Okay, your children don't need you to be perfect, they just need you. Okay, as teachers, we don't expect you to be the teacher. Okay, you are not homeschooling, you are not a school at home. They are home learning, they are learning from home, not being taught from home. Okay, it's a really important distinction with what as teachers we actually are expecting. Okay, be realistic. Okay, your child is not going to sit down at 9 o'clock and work until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They wouldn't do it at school. We do break it up. We don't sit down for an hour and say, do that work for an hour. Okay, we break it up, we chat, we help them. You know, they might be distracted by the snow or rain outside the window. Okay, just be realistic about it. Routines are really important. Okay, give structure to your day, give rhythm to your day. Okay, get the children up, get them dressed, all right, have their breakfast, discuss with them, this is what we're going to do. Okay, just make it fun for them. Be in touch with your child's school. Okay, schools are not closed. Okay, schools are still open. There are still lots of people in school, and we're there to help you. Okay, if you don't know where the remote learning is, contact the school. If you don't know the usernames, the passwords, what platforms you're using, speak to the school. Okay, we are there. We can photocopy things, we can send things out if technology is a problem. If the work is too hard, let the school know. If it's too easy, let us know. Okay, and we will do something about it. Thank you, Mike. Okay, the government position is you do not have to teach your child the national curriculum, okay? But you must make sure that they receive full-time education from the age of 5, okay, depending on their age, ability and aptitudes. In normal times, that's sending your child to school. Now, they are saying a whole day full-time education for primary child is 3 hours a day, and for a secondary child is 4 to 5 hours a day. Okay, we don't expect you to be going on the government website and finding out, oh, spring 1 we should be doing Romans and we should be doing multiplication and all the rest of it. Okay, let us worry about that. Okay, just teach what give the children what we've given you. Encourage children to complete the work set by the school. Okay, if they don't stress over it, but try and encourage them to do so. So issues arising at the moment, best practice is suggesting a mixture of live lessons with teachers talking, children working with a teacher available, and recorded lessons of expert content with teacher support. Okay, this happens in different ways in different schools. There's no set way. We haven't all been told you've got to do it this way. Things will vary. And we are well aware that there are issues within households, lack of devices. Okay, maybe you've got a furloughed parent who's working on a laptop and the child can only use it between certain hours. We're all completely aware of that, and you have to work it around what suits you.
Just to say that, Chloe, it is, it has settled down after a couple of weeks to get to a sense of what is the best practice with schools. At the start, people are saying, oh, well, live lessons, we have to teach all the time. And that is both very wearing upon the teacher as well as the child, to be honest. And so there are occasions where you'll probably want, the teacher there most of the time, but they don't have to be doing the teaching. They can be on the hand whilst an expert is going forward with the video, okay, or the children working on the worksheet, but the teacher being there on the chat or on the camera, okay, to be able to give them some support. And I think that's a mixture that's sustainable and really is achievable for the students going forward.
Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. Thank you. So these are just some thoughts from other parents, so they're not necessarily our opinions here. So setting time for work is important. Okay, it says my kids are happier and results get better every day. They lose interest if they sit and work on something for hours. Absolutely true. Same in school as well. Okay, especially if you've got younger children, little bit of work, then go and play or go and make a cake with mum or go and hang the washing out, whatever it might be. Okay, split the work up. I found the school giving constructive feedback really helped, as they advised. Okay, we don't know what's happening until we hear from you. Okay, keep in touch with the school. Staff are there, they will give feedback as much as they possibly can. Okay, it might not be the second you send, okay, but they will get back to you. Try not to listen to the perfect Facebook parents. Likelihood is that they're struggling as much as everyone else. Okay, we've all been there with the Facebook and everything else. Okay, so just we've got to do what's right for you. Be realistic. Okay, children don't want to be sat on a laptop all day unless they're gaming, of course. Okay, if it gets too much, give them a break. Okay, even if they've done 10-15 minutes. Okay, something we discovered from lockdown 1 is concentration is all over the place. Okay, they were just getting back to some normality and we're back into it again. Okay, we can't expect the children to sit and concentrate that length of time. Okay, if you're having a bad day, they're having a bad day, it's all right. Okay, it's okay to have a bad day. Try something different. Okay, one day is not going to hurt. If you have worries about their education, teach them something else. Okay, it doesn't have to be education. Teaching doesn't have to be do this worksheet. How do you work this out in maths? Okay, when did the Romans invade? That doesn't have to be education. One parent said they're totally fed up with every subject using a different platform. Schools are trying to streamline that, not always possible. Okay, we pay subscriptions to different things, so it just depends on really what the school are doing. Okay, and the last one I think we've covered already. Thank you, Mike. So mainly for primaries advice. Early years, you've got charge in early years. Okay, emphasize reading, plenty of conversation, keep that verbal up with the children. Perhaps give them a visual timetable in the morning. Do they know what they're going to be doing during the day? Let them know you're going to do an activity and then they're going to have some play time. Okay, they're going to have some time off. Bring them back to another activity. Give them some more play. Make it fun. Make it practical. Okay, if they're doing maths or something, give them objects to help count it out. Give them tactile things and touch things. Get outside if the weather's okay. Make learning enjoyable, informal, as well as schoolwork. Okay, really important that it's not all simply about schoolwork. Everyday basic life skills are important. That's on the side. So keeping those things like I think we're going to look at it later on. Using a knife and fork. Okay, you'd be surprised how many children came back lockdown 1 couldn't suddenly use a knife and fork. They've been put in front of the TV with a bowl of chips every day. No, they can't use a knife and fork. Keep those basic life skills going. If you've got a charge in year 6, okay, SATs exams will not be happening. Okay, don't worry about it. All right, it's just the way it is. Transition to secondary skills will go ahead. Okay, whatever that may look like, it will happen. We did it last year. We did transition remotely. We did transition in a different way with the year 6s that just gone. We'll do it again this year if we need to. Okay, so don't worry. Okay, secondaries. Paul, your turn.
Okay, thank you, Chloe. So the most concern is really going to be coming for the exam year groups now, which is years 11 and 13. And after some discussion, it is likely now that there will be some form of exams at the end of the year. And those are probably going to be the more kind of a bank of questions the teachers can set at a particular level. And then these will be set and marked by the teacher with as much national moderation and guidance as can be given. Though most practitioners are seeing that is a really difficult thing to do. But I think it's important for young people to know that there is an exam. So it's not right out of their hands at the moment. They have got a vested interest in doing their schoolwork and getting assignments in on time and that kind of thing. But the important thing is not just going to be exams. And so the implications for our young people is that there will be teacher assessments alongside where the teacher will need to give a predicted grade. So it's going to be a combination of those things, although we're assured it won't have that the algorithm that really caps how well an individual can do. And so because teacher assessments are going to be having as much prominence in the final mark as the exams, it's important for each student to show their best, so that teachers that they can't help but be influenced by attitude and being really diligent when it comes to things such as attendance, showing up even in the remote lessons, engaging in the remote lessons. I've got some students that always first with the questions, or they hand something in, or they're in the chat, or they're talking in the discussions, and some that basically log on and I never hear from them again. And so I'm going to be more impressed. I'm going to be won over by the fact that these young people are understanding and showing what they can do. So handing in homework, there's likely to be, when we do return between now and Easter, some mock exams. So doing your best there, that gives them a good reason for getting up in the morning and doing their best. But it will show, I'm convinced, in the final mark that they get. So what they can't do is what might have been the case in the past of winging it on the exam now. I'm never sure that that was entirely relevant, but that's all the more case now, because a steady, consistent effort will develop that good reputation with the teachers. And of course, that can only do good for the final predicted grade that your teachers are going to be giving. That's more important than anything. And even then, for A-level people, when it comes to university places, they're going to be awarded on the basis of those exams as ever. Possibly now that places will definitely be awarded after the results rather than before. More of that happening. And so again, it's very important for if you've got a child that is going for a place at university or an apprenticeship, to carry on going, to get the best exam and teacher predicted grades for you to go through. Leaving that aside for the last few points there, I think we've heard from some of the parent comments already that there's so many different username and passwords and everything else like that. And so if it is possible to give the young person a place, a desk, or at least a use of the dining table at home with a kind of a big box to be able to neatly keep all this stuff in, that's going to be really good. And being organized with the username, passwords written up on a sheet and stuck to the wall, that's going to be good. Otherwise, it is a danger of just mixing those up and not being able to get onto the platform in time. Now, if we can think that the student's going to be away for at least a number of weeks, then if you think of all of those plastic pockets, bits of paper, and things such as that, I would, get some folders, plastic pockets to organize the notes. Otherwise, those are just going to end up in the pile on the bedroom floor, and all that we won't have a record of learning going forward. And to be honest, if I were you, I would buy them a cheap exercise book for every subject, and don't do the work on worksheets. I would do it in a sequential exercise book and stick in the worksheet with that good old teacher favorite, the Pritt stick. Otherwise, you're going to be a right mess over just a few days. You would have been off for 2/3 of a term with nothing written to show for it and nothing to revise in the exams. So I give a little bit of a routine about giving the notes to tidy up at the end of the week, at the end of the day. And also think if it's possible to connect the laptop with the printer. It's always easier if the worksheets that are emailed in or put on a platform can be printed off, rather than just doing the answers on a piece of paper. So that's my advice for people going through secondary education. Next slide, please, Mike. Thank you. That's it. And our key skills for informal learning. Here is an opportunity, as we said, to really engage in wider learning, because if we're going to be having a routine where study is seen as punishment, then that's really not setting them up for lifelong learning. So ideas such as encouraging a love for reading with your child, or audio books, getting the children to read to each other. Here's an opportunity for older brothers and sisters, to support the younger siblings in this. Simple things. You'd be surprised at how many 16-year-olds don't know 9 times 7 or 8 times 12. And use it, telling the time for early years, and the use of cash, money, looking at a bank account, and looking at the statements, things such as that. Using a knife and fork, doing some writing. I remember when I was at school, I used to come back from summer holiday. When I first picked up a pen, my hand really hurt because I had 6 weeks without even writing anything down. So let's get some writing to be done, kind of generate opportunities for that. Okay, and that's really important. Cooking, measurements, timings. If they're going to be going away to university, they're going to be needing to, to be able to rustle up a spaghetti bolognese or a lasagna. So all those things, even in the cooking, involve timing, measurements, and planning. And here's an opportunity for something I have a passion for. Okay, many young people don't have hobbies, so it doesn't matter if the learning isn't on the curriculum. If they've got something they're passionate about collecting something, going out, exercise, a hobby, a sport. Okay, the point here is that they enjoy learning, and because to be honest, in the big scheme of things, okay, the loss of a few months learning is really regrettable. But if we talk about lifelong learning, then then they will get opportunities to be able to get the qualifications and knowledge and the skills. And chances are they've had 6, 7, 8, 9 years of that, and parents shouldn't be too anxious, okay, about the prospect of lost education. Okay, so just going to start to look at some of the resources now, and Chloe and I have put together, okay, this here's our top selection, if you like. Okay, well done to the BBC for putting on the CBBC channel wide range of educational programs, and that's a really great job that they're doing. And you can see the particular age range there. It's mainly for primary children, and that's primary learning. But I think there is a secondary. My guess is probably going to be in the afternoon when the teenagers are out of bed.
Yeah, it's on BBC Two.
Is it BBC Two?
Yeah,
right.
BBC Two in the afternoons is the secondary.
Lovely. So thank you for that. And no, those great resources there. And the other thing is that if you've got restrictions on broadband, okay, these schools have homes will usually have a television, and so that is not going to be using the broadband. That's going to give much greater access. So again, you want to stick your child down in front of that and say, right, stick there for 3 hours, okay, but you put that as part of your diet. Okay, you'll say, right, we can have an hour of schoolwork, or we can look at that program. Okay, we're going to rustle up dinner now, okay, and we go out for the family walk at 3 o'clock, and then you can finish that assignment late afternoon and finish it off in the late early evening. So again, it's part of the day diet there. Twinkle is a home learning hub for resources. We've mentioned bite-sized learning. The National Academy is what I use as a secondary teacher, although primary is featured as well, and that's a fantastic resource, okay, for real lessons, with quizzes, with videos and tasks to do. That comes highly recommended for myself. And Chloe, what about that White Rose Home Learning?
Yeah, White Rose Home. It's a maths website which is free at the moment. If you actually Google White Rose Home Learning, and if you're not not very strong on maths, maybe you can go in there. You can put in the children's year group. It will tell you the subject, and there are videos that will talk them through how to do it. Okay, and then there are questions that they go through afterwards. So if they've been set something
Mike, if Chloe's frozen, I'll carry on.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. Okay, that's fine.
Don't know what's happened.
That's all right. Let's just push on. Okay, with the next slide. Okay, so we don't have to worry about going to breakout groups. So I think with given the number that we have, I think it'd be good if we've kind of reached halfway now. And I just wonder if we could, with our people on the phone or on the video here, any ideas or questions that that you have for us at this time before we look at the resources in a little bit more detail?
And something that they're really passionate about. Okay, don't make it school related. You know, if it's a craft, let them do the craft. If it's music, let them do music. If it's cooking, let them cook. And again, just bring back that love for learning. Once they've done that, then, you know, hopefully the schoolwork will become easier, and you can integrate schoolwork into their passion in a way.
I think that's a really, really helpful thing, actually, Chloe, because when the first lockdown happened, all my kids said to me, Mum, if this had happened when we were little, all we would have done all day is art. And I was like, no, I would have done work with you, but actually I probably would have done a lot of art with them. And I think if you can find their passion, something they're passionate about, and sort of put a lot of things into that, like if they love nature, if they love learning about wildlife, if they love David Attenborough, all those sort of things are really educational, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're doing about castles and they like cooking, then get them to bake a cake in the shape of a castle.
Yes,
you know, and decorate it like a castle. What have you learned about moats and everything else? There's one for Mike for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also, when I was looking after you the other day, we were doing castles, and I put in my Minecraft and told him to build a castle and a moat, which Becky thought was a cop out, but I sent it into the teacher and he got a special mention. So and he did it really well. Yeah, built a moat and his drawbridge and everything. So she was really impressed with it.
Yeah. So he was motivated and engaged. That's what it's about, isn't it? Yeah.
I think
there's loads of things that you can do around that, like reading stories where they include castles.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say that don't forget, when it comes to education, we do have, we tend to focus on the academic, you know, the English, maths, the science and those things. But, you know, life is full of all sorts of different things, and people have skills in all sorts of different areas. And so getting, lots has been said about that, but actually the practical things, the everyday life skills are really important. And in schools, we don't get time to do those sorts of things. You know, we don't really get time to, you know, learn about cooking skills apart from in the limited time we've got. And actually for those children who are going to be hugely practical and less maybe academic in terms of, you know, academia, university, actually teach them that now these sorts of things are really valued, because actually later on in life, those kids who aren't doing necessarily A levels or going off to uni, if they've learned from an early age that the value in other things is as equally as important, then actually they'd flourish alongside everybody else. So it's getting that balance right. And I think as parents, I mean, we've got older children, but it's getting that balance right. You know, Vic is fantastic at art, you know, so even if you don't know what they're passionate about, introducing them to lots of different things. I don't know, jigsaw puzzles, there's a huge amount of learning in that, you know, colors, shapes, sizes, whatever. It's doing learning in a different way, I think, as well. And it's a unique opportunity. And I know the school stuff has to be done, but actually moving away from that when you need to is also equally as important. So, you know, I know a lot has been said about that. I mean, you know, Chloe said about some of the kids coming back and not knowing how to use a knife and fork. Well, actually, that is a life skill, because, you know, whether you're going to go out or not, cooking is hugely important. Not only, you know, if they go off and live by themselves, but the amount of learning you can get out of that is incredible. So it's broadening out what we think of learning, and actually learning is everything, you know, not just the pencil and paper stuff, because not all children, you know, are happy at the moment with pencil and paper stuff. So that would be my comment.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good, everyone. So thank you, Suki, and thank you, everyone. I think that's a really useful discussion around those aspects. Any other questions or any other points that people would like to raise? Okay, let's push on, Mike, then to the last selection of slides, which really just goes into the we've done the questions part. So we were thinking of getting together a list of resources, but there is not one single website that does it as better than chatterpack.net, and I've put that URL there for everyone, and it is really impressive by the range and the depth and the sheer size of the resources there, all internet based, but a few clicks away for some fantastic resources, both in and I'd say outside of this pandemic time. So whole range of subjects are featured, both primary and secondary, some multi-subject websites as well. And also, and I really like this, and I'll do a few screenshots in just a minute, some important aspects such as emotional anxiety and emotional support. You know, the most important thing that our children can come out of this time is with their mental health intact. You know, if you were to have a priority, that will be it. And there's some really thoughtful advice there, as well as we mentioned about family learning opportunities, learning together, doing a lockdown scrapbook, and going out on walks with a particular purpose, having a hobby. Those are all there. Let's look at a selection of some of the screenshots, Mike. If we can just push on the last few slides for our presentation. So there we are, Chatterpack, that's there. It's nice that it was updated on the 8th of January, so it's bang up to date with the latest resources there. Thank you. The next slide then is obviously the most important subject of all, which is science. Forget about reading and writing, as long as you've got your physics, as long as you've got your physics and the chemistry sorted out. So there's the sciences, folks. That is just one of about 4 pages, okay, of resources there. Just click and point, and off you go. Then we've got, as I mentioned, some really good SEND specific resources and information advice for parents there, ADHD, and a range of topics of Down syndrome and others, okay, as well as children on the autistic spectrum and with a mild learning need. Okay, your needs will be met by that there. Thank you, Mike. And we mentioned also about family activities. So a wide range of things are suggested there. It's probably one of the most useful pages of that there. But yeah, nice. Yeah, if you look at some of the headings I've just got there, designing a structure to your day at home. There's a resource there. Suddenly homeschooling, a message from a veteran homeschool parent. Of course, there are those in our fellowship or friends that we have that do homeschool, and so that we can really learn from them about what they have done, because for some of our friends this is their everyday reality. I quite like the ideas of learning with Lego, okay, survival tips for parents, cookery classes for kids. That's a really great page as well. So lots to learn from Chatterpack, and I would highly recommend that. Last slide, Mike, will just give us a summary of that. So home is very important right now for not just working but learning and putting time together. As Chloe said, you don't have to turn it into a school, okay? And I'd really say it's important that we're here for the long term. We get into a sustainable rhythm that we can keep up. Don't put pressure on yourself, mum or dad. If you're going to be going down, okay, if you can't manage the day-to-day time for yourself, for all of your, you might well be working, okay, and you do need to. We all need to keep up with the washing and the plates. We just need to be realistic on ourselves, and on top of that, creating the perfect curriculum and filling every hour with schooling. We need to take that pressure off ourselves. We need to be mindful, but again, what we see on social media, and for every family is different, and many of us are kind of struggling in different ways. So it needs to reach out. If we're in a church or a community group or within the family, reach out for help, because there's no one that's actually making a great fist of this. Talk to your children about what they'd like their day to be structured, to involve them in that planning of the day, and might work with your own responsibilities and about their interests. And we mentioned that this is a theme about their interests and passions and and hobbies, ways that they can incorporate this into their learning, okay, and reassure your child that their school and teachers are there for them, and they'll carry on teaching them, because as Chloe said, schools aren't closed, they're open. And so that any way that we can work with teachers, we can give encouragement to schools. If it's like any other school, you'll find that there's in the inbox of head teachers, there's 9 complaints for every well done. So anything that you can do to bless our school teachers, that will be very, very welcome by them there. So what we do suggest as the people that are watching this on the recording, do keep in touch with us. That's the email address of Chloe and myself there. If you'd like a copy of the PowerPoint, just email ourselves or the church, and we'll be able to get that to you in good time. So just want to thank you very much for being part of the discussion today, and thank you to Mike, Becky, and the church for making this opportunity available. If this is being recorded, do contact us if you'd like some for further advice or to get a copy of the resource. Thank you, everyone.